Radio Texas, live with Buddy Logan.
Radio Texas Live. I'm Buddy Logan. Mike Harmeyer from Mike and the Moonpies with us. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding, fantastic, much better since your new Gary Stewart album came out. Dude, it's so good, man.
Thanks, man.
I want to dive into all of it. But first, congratulations. A few months ago, you guys took home Best Country Act at the Austin Music Awards.
Yeah, man, that was a big one. I didn't think we were ever going to win that. We've been nominated a few times. And like the one year that we didn't like actively promote it or do anything about it, we took it home.
You took it home. That's how it works every time, I think. I think that's how it always works. You guys, Mike and the Moonpies, you were one of the first bands that I saw, at least, who canceled shows because of COVID-19. Yours were in Europe, so it's a little bit different. Take us through that. I mean, it's not like everyone had already canceled and you were following suit. Was it due to air restrictions, air travel restrictions?
Well, we started talking about it like probably a month before, because I started to hear like even over there, they were having travel restrictions between countries. So we knew it was kind of going to be an issue. And we just kept in touch with our European agent, threw it back and forth, and they were still ready to go, and we were still ready to go. But the straw that broke the camel's back was definitely travel. I mean, we had a sold out show in London that we had to cancel on.
Oh, dude.
Like it was a bummer, dude. Like we wanted to go. You know, the biggest problem was when they were quarantining people who were traveling, and we had a bunch of festivals and stuff like on the back end of when we got back. And my worst thought, this is before everything canceled.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, well, I don't want to get stuck, in Germany or something and we can't get out. And then I miss out on all this stuff that we had scheduled back here in the States. It ended up not mattering anyway because everything got
canceled. Mike from Mike and the Moonpies. More with Mike next.
RTX Live.
Mike Harmeyer from Mike and the Moonpies with us. It's Radio Texas Live. I'm Buddy Logan. Mike, your new surprise album. Once again, you're doing the surprise things on us. Touch of You, The Lost Songs of Gary Stewart, charted number 2 on iTunes, country chart, number 7 on iTunes overall chart when it came out. We got to set something straight, Mike. 2 years ago, you sat across from me right here in the studio, right after Steak Night was released, and you told me you were sitting on some great songs and some great projects, but you couldn't elaborate. Then a year later, you dropped Cheap Silver and Solid Country Gold on us, and I told you it hurt my feelings a little bit that you kept it from me for so long. Mike, please tell me you haven't been sitting on this Gary Stewart album for 2 years and not telling me about it.
No.
Okay, all right.
We didn't sit on this one at all, man. Like we wrapped this one 2 days before it came out.
I was like, you did it again to me. You had the best surprises too. It was amazing. I don't even know how you keep coming up with these surprises.
Yeah, me either.
How did this album happen? How did the Gary Stewart album happen?
This guy, John Burris, who TMs for, he tour manages Gary P. Nunn. He came to a gig, brought up this idea of, he had been talking to Gary Stewart's daughter about some songs that they had and wanting some people to cut some. And so his idea was like, hey, do you want to put one on your next record? I basically listened to everything they sent me, which is probably 20 to 30 songs. And I was like, man, there's enough here to do a full length album. And I would rather just do that.
Yeah.
And so I basically had to just call up Gary's daughter, Shannon. She was gung ho. She was like,
awesome.
Yeah, like I want you to do as many of these things, like do a double album. I don't care. Like they were grateful that someone wanted to do it. I think they had pitched some of those songs to some other people that hadn't bitten. So when we came along with that like full album or EP idea, they were all over it. So we just went for it.
Radio Texas Live.
I think I've lost my...
So how did Mike and the Moonpies get hooked up with Mark Weistrack of Midland on their new song, Smooth Shot of Whiskey, from their Gary Stewart tribute album? Let's find out, and we'll spin it. Mike on the show next. But first, brand new Jonathan Terrell. This one's called Love Can Find You Anywhere.
Well, right in the street.
Mike and the Moonpies, their new album, Touch of You, The Lost Songs of Gary Stewart. And I suppose that's how it happens a lot. Singers, songwriters have songs that they write and they never record. But these are gold, man. These are good songs from Gary Stewart.
Yeah, it was, man, there was a wide range of stuff. There was stuff like was just demos of him like with an acoustic guitar in a bedroom. There was stuff that was fully fleshed out with a band. That Smooth Shot of Whiskey song was pretty much cut for a record.
Did he do a duet? Did he do a duet on it?
Yeah, it was him and Dean Dillon.
Nice.
So, like,
okay, cool.
Him and Dean wrote that song. And so like, it was supposed to be on a second record. They had put out a record, Gary and Dean, and then they were going to do another round 2 of that, but they just turned it into an EP and that song got lost in the shuffle.
Nice, man. Well, it's a great song. On your version of Smooth Shot of Whiskey, it's an old school duet, and you do it with Mark Weistrack of Midland. How did you guys get connected for this one?
I've known Mark for a few years, and funny enough, John Burris, who brought the project to me, had also talked to Midland about it a little bit, so they were kind of in the know about it.
Oh, I could see that. I could see that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, who else is going to do a Gary Stewart record other than us in Midland?
Yeah.
So I reached out to Mark, and he jumped on board. I think it just kind of seemed like a full circle story to help, with the record. And of course he was gung ho about it too.
Nice. The duet is great. And again, it's not new, but it's not something collaborations seem to do much anymore. But this song, it's a couple of old friends catching up and having a conversation. And I dig it.
Yeah, man. That used to happen all the time in country music, and you don't hear those conversations back and forth anymore.
Let's do it. Smooth Shot of Whiskey off Mike and the Moonpies' new album, Touch of You, The Lost Songs of Gary Stewart with Mark Weistrack of Midland. We got more with Mike next.
The only good thing that's turned up for us lately has been the bottom of a glass.
All right, Mike, Cheap Silver and Solid Country Gold. It's not even a year old yet.
Yeah, we're about to hit a year on it.
Like July or August? Is that?
Yeah, August 2nd, I think was the date.
Dude, so it's like 10 months old, 9 months?
Yeah.
You guys are cranking it out, man.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, for those who don't know, Cheap Silver, Solid Country Gold for Mike and the Moonpies was recorded at Abbey Road Studios and was rounded out with backing from the London Symphony Orchestra, produced by Adam Oder. The end product, Mike, certainly deserving of such an iconic production. And we may have touched on this before. You've been on with me a few times in the last year. But which song on the project were you most excited about?
Probably Danger for me. That was like, because that one I wrote for my son, Brazos. But that one also, like, we had Shooter Jennings on that song, and that was the one that I knew, even if we lost everybody with, because Cheap Silver was the one that I wanted to set the record up with. But then I felt like, if we lost everybody with the record, Danger would bring them back.
Gotcha.
And it has that 2-beat wailing thing. So it was my powerhouse song for the record. So I think that was the one that really, and it's my wife's favorite.
No, it's a great song. It's probably one of my favorites too, but I got like 3 or 4 off that album. Let's do Danger. Danger from Cheap Silver, Solid Country Gold, Mike and the Moonpies. Mike Harmeyer with us tonight. We got more on the way.
RTX Live with Buddy Logan.
Since I've been on the road now, I've seen a lot of danger.
Ragweed on Radio Texas Live. We have an app. It is free. Search Radio Texas Live in your app store or Google Play and get that app. We got 24/7 Texas and Red Dirt music waiting on you. Just download it, guys. All right, Mike from Mike and the Moonpies on with us, and we will be debuting several songs off of Touch of You, the lost songs of Gary Stewart, guys. Fun hour of radio. Stay tuned. Right now, Cody Jinks.
Living on.
All right, Mike, Jolene, My Maria, Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town, Stacy's mom. I've always been a huge fan of putting an actual name in a song, not just singing about a girl. You have a song on the new album, Touch of You, the lost songs of Gary Stewart, called Dance with Barbara.
Yeah, and it happened to be Barbara. Like, I was thinking we were cutting that. I was like, I don't know anyone named Barbara anymore.
Nobody knows anybody named Barbara anymore. It's not a very popular name anymore, any longer.
I don't know, man. I on the original cut of that, he didn't have the Barbara repetitive thing at the end where it's like a group vocal, Barbara, Barbara. And I didn't think about it until I was cutting vocals, like maybe a couple days before the record came out. I was like, man, we got to do that thing. And now I hope, fingers crossed, that becomes like a thing at the shows. Like, I want everyone chanting Barbara.
Yeah. Dude, you may single-handedly bring back the popularity of the name Barbara. You and Gary Stewart.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome, right? 2021, there's a huge spike in Barbara. Let's spin it. Let's do Dance with Barbara off Mike and the Moonpies, Touch of You, the lost songs of Gary Stewart. Maybe, hopefully, Mike will stick around. We got more coming up. Mike Harmeyer, you know him as Mike from Mike and the Moonpies. Mike, the new album, Touch You, The Lost Songs of Gary Stewart, fantastic. I got it like a couple days before everybody else, which from what I understand, from what you're saying, was like maybe an hour after it was finished.
That's true.
You guys recently recut a song from earlier in your career.
Yeah, we did. I had a song called Say It Simply on the Mockingbird record that I had written in the style of Johnny Bush. And my dad had been lifelong friends with Johnny. And my dad knew that I had written that song kind of in his style and reached out to him about 2 years ago and ask if he'd be interested in singing on this thing, and never really heard anything. And then I did a song swap with Johnny Bush in Austin, and I played the song in front of him at the show, like live. And he was into it, man. Like I already felt great about that. 2 or 3 months later, I got this email that was him singing the song.
Just out of the blue?
Yeah, man. He had gotten the track from my dad and sang the whole thing. And so I had this thing like for a year or two where I was like, man, what am I going to do with this awesome vocal track from Johnny Bush on this song? And the first thing that we did when we got on quarantine was me and Adam sat down and, put that vocal. We recorded some new guitars and stuff like that on it, and put Johnny's vocal in there. So now I have a duet with me and Johnny Bush.
So awesome. Let's spin it. Let's check it out. The remix, to say it simply, from Mike and the Moonpies featuring Johnny Bush. We got more with Mike coming up.
Say it simply, or don't say it at all.
It's Mike and the Moonpies, The Way, on Radio Texas Live. I'm Buddy Logan. Mike, still, in my mind, top 5 cover of all time.
Thanks, man.
It's so good. It's so good. And it was another surprise. What'd you say?
I can't believe we actually cut it.
Dude, it's so outstanding. It's amazing. And once again, you've done what you did with that song, and you make it hard for radio programmers because you drop all this new music on us out of nowhere. And it's like, all right, well, do we keep playing Danger, or do we switch to the Midland song? What do we do?
Midlands.
So the new album is out. You didn't really tease this much, right? We found out like a week before it was coming out that it was coming out. The Touch of You, the Lost Songs of Gary Stewart.
Yeah, we didn't really know if we were going to be able to get it done. Before lockdown happened, we had 6 songs cut. We decided we were going to make it a full length. And then we realized that it was Gary's birthday coming up on the 28th of May. So we basically just hustled, and everybody cut the rest of the stuff from their house. And we got it out, skin of our teeth, man, by his birthday. I mean, I think we got the mastering tracks back, like I said, about 2 days before the record drop.
Wow.
So, it wasn't really meant to be a surprise record like as much as the last one was. But, I mean, we just had to put the pedal to the metal and try to get it done. And luckily, we finally finished it, man. I mean, I didn't want to necessarily put it out any other time. I mean, this was kind of a perfect time. I wanted to drop something during this time. So, we got it out, man. I'm happy that we did it that way.
Sometimes you do the best work under the gun like that. Seems like you did.
RTX Live with Buddy Logan.
Radio Texas Live. I'm Buddy Logan. Mike Harmeyer of Mike and the Moonpies on with us. The new album, Touch of You, the Lost Songs of Gary Stewart. Mike, the title track, Touch of You, kind of a double entendre. I don't want to reach too far, but of course, in the song, it has to do with his wife. For you guys, it has another meaning because the whole album has a touch of Gary Stewart in it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a thing that we, I wanted to make the record, mostly about Gary. And a lot of the big point about it is to promote Gary. And a lot of people didn't know who Gary was or don't, so bring some attention to his career. But that song specifically, he wrote that song with his wife in the late 80s, 89 maybe. And I think it was the last song they wrote together. And I heard that story after I had heard that song. And that song already carried so much weight with me. But then when I heard that, I knew that was going to be the title track. I had talked to his daughter about it, and they actually wrote that song like on the pamphlet at his funeral. And, that song meant a lot to him and his family. And like I said, being the last song that he wrote with his wife. And you realize just how attached and how much he loved his wife. And that was his life. When she passed away, he didn't live more than a month after that. He took his own life about a month later. So it really carried a lot of weight in that song to me and kind of spoke to him as a person. And it just sounded quintessential Gary, man, that vocal melody, and it was all there. So that was the biggest song, the heaviest song, I think, on the record, and it had to be the title track.
Amazing story. Let's spin it. Touch of You, the title track of the new Mike and the Moonpies album, The Lost Songs of Gary Stewart.
Getting over you, the hardest thing I've tried to do. The more I try,